Jim Carrey has been a household name for decades, celebrated for his boundless energy, rubber-faced comedy, and unforgettable performances in classics like Ace Ventura, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber. But behind the laughter and larger-than-life persona, fans have long suspected that there was more to Carrey than met the eye, a side that was contemplative, introspective, and, at times, quietly struggling. Now, at 61, Carrey has finally opened up in a way that confirms what many have long suspected about the man behind the comedy. In recent interviews and social media reflections, Carrey has peeled back the curtain on his life, addressing the deeper truths that his humor often masked. He speaks candidly about mental health, personal loss, and the relentless pressures of fame, experiences that shaped not only his career but also his worldview. For decades, his public persona was almost a protective mask, shielding a vulnerable, searching mind from scrutiny. Fans began to notice the moments between the jokes, the profound pauses, the philosophical musings, and the art that hinted at a more complex inner life. What makes Carrey's revelations so compelling is that they resonate with a universal truth. Even those who seem happiest on the outside often carry hidden depths of struggle, curiosity, and reflection. By finally speaking openly, he validates the feelings of countless fans who have sensed his duality, the entertainer and the thinker, the comic and the philosopher. His honesty isn't just shocking, it's inspiring, offering insight into the challenges of maintaining authenticity in a world that demands constant performance. This moment marks a turning point in Jim Carrey's public narrative. No longer is he solely the comedian who brings joy to millions. He is also a man willing to confront vulnerability, explore existential questions, and share his truth with the world. In this exploration, we see Carrey as more than a performer. We see a human being embracing the fullness of his life, confirming what fans quietly suspected for years, that Jim Carrey's genius extends far beyond laughter. Jim Carrey has always been a master of transformation. Whether contorting his face into impossible expressions or fully immersing himself into eccentric characters, he built a career on laughter, absurdity, and the kind of energy that few could match. Yet, beneath the manic performances and comedic brilliance, there was a quieter, more complex side that few people truly understood. For years, fans sensed it, the moments of depth hidden behind the smiles, the flashes of melancholy, and the profound philosophical thoughts glimpsed in interviews or his artwork. Carrey's journey to this point has been shaped by both triumph and struggle. Born in 1962 in Ontario, Canada, he grew up in a family facing financial instability. These early challenges left a lasting impression, teaching him resilience but also exposing him to anxiety and the harsh realities of life. Humor became both a survival mechanism and a way to connect with others. By the time he reached Hollywood, Jim had perfected the ability to mask vulnerability with performance, delivering comedy so magnetic that audiences could not see what lay beneath. Despite the outward success, Carrey struggled internally. The pressures of fame, coupled with personal loss and mental health challenges, created a tension between the public persona and the private man. Friends and colleagues noticed a deep introspection that contrasted sharply with his on-screen antics. Carrey often turned to art, philosophy, and reflective practices to cope with the intensity of his career and the weight of expectation. His paintings, often darkly expressive, reveal a man wrestling with questions about identity, purpose, and the human condition, a stark contrast to the boisterous characters audiences adored. In recent years, however, Carrey began to embrace this duality publicly. He increasingly used interviews, social media, and public appearances to explore themes beyond comedy, the fragility of life, the illusions of ego, and the meaning of happiness. Fans started to recognize a side of Carrey they had long suspected existed, a thinker, a philosopher, and a deeply feeling human being who used laughter as both shield and bridge. His openness about these topics marks a significant departure from the man who, for decades, relied on comedy as the primary lens through which the world saw him. One of the pivotal moments in this journey came as he reflected on personal loss and the fragility of human relationships. The death of loved ones and his own experiences with mental health challenges pushed Carrey to confront existential questions head-on. He began speaking about the importance of mindfulness, self-awareness, and embracing vulnerability, topics that had previously seemed incompatible with his public image. Fans were both surprised and moved, recognizing that the man who could make them laugh until tears streamed down their faces also had profound insights about life, grief, and resilience. Carrey's revelation at 61, then, is not a sudden pivot but the culmination of a lifelong tension between performance and authenticity. For decades, he built a persona that could entertain millions, while privately navigating a complex emotional and intellectual landscape. In opening up now, he confirms what many had long suspected, that Jim Carrey is not just a comedic genius but a deeply reflective, philosophical, and vulnerable individual. His truth resonates because it is authentic, and it invites audiences to see him, and perhaps themselves, in a fuller, more human light. By exploring the man behind the laughter, we begin to understand why Jim Carrey's revelations are so significant. They are not about scandal, drama, or controversy. They are about honesty, courage, and the rare act of showing one's true self after decades of living behind a mask. For those who have loved his comedy, it is a chance to finally connect with the man they suspected was always there, quietly shaping the genius behind the laughter. For decades, Jim Carrey captivated audiences with boundless energy, slapstick comedy, and a talent that seemed almost superhuman. Yet, behind the laughter and the fame, he faced challenges that few could have imagined. Carrey's brilliance came with a cost: the pressure to constantly perform, the expectations of millions, and a personal struggle with mental health that he kept largely private. At 61, he has finally revealed the depths of these experiences, confirming what fans had long suspected, that beneath the humor lay a man wrestling with profound personal questions. Carrey's journey has never been straightforward. Growing up in a financially unstable household in Ontario, Canada, he learned early that life could be unpredictable and harsh. These formative experiences shaped his worldview and his comedic style. Humor became a coping mechanism, a way to navigate uncertainty and hardship. By the time he arrived in Hollywood, he had perfected the ability to channel pain, insecurity, and observation into performances that were electrifying and transformative. Yet the cost of success was an ongoing inner battle, as the man behind the mask struggled to reconcile public adoration with private vulnerability. Throughout his career, Carrey's personal struggles manifested in subtle but significant ways. Close friends and collaborators have described periods of isolation, intense introspection, and episodes of depression. Even at the height of his fame, he often questioned the meaning and purpose of his work, reflecting on whether the laughter he generated could mask his own existential unease. In interviews, he hints at these tensions, the moments of melancholy behind the grin, the silent contemplation between the punchlines. It is a duality that fans may have sensed for years but could not fully understand until now. Art became Carrey's refuge. Beyond the screen, he explored painting and sculpture, creating works that are raw, emotional, and intensely personal. Unlike his public persona, these creations reveal a man confronting his own identity, grappling with loss, and probing philosophical questions. Through color, form, and texture, Carrey expressed the fears, hopes, and curiosities that he often kept hidden from the public. His artwork, like his later public reflections, confirms that his genius was not limited to comedy. It extended to the exploration of the human experience itself. The past few years have also seen Carrey confronting grief and personal loss more openly. The death of loved ones, the challenges of relationships, and the isolation inherent in fame prompted him to examine life, mortality, and purpose. He began speaking about mindfulness, meditation, and the pursuit of authenticity, practices that helped him navigate both his internal world and the pressures of celebrity. By sharing these reflections at 61, Carrey validates the intuition of fans who sensed a complexity behind his performances, showing that humor and introspection are not mutually exclusive but deeply intertwined. Carrey's recent revelations are not just about struggle. They are about resilience, growth, and the courage to embrace vulnerability. He demonstrates that even those who seem larger than life, the comedians, the performers, the icons, carry the weight of human fragility. His willingness to share these truths now reflects both maturity and a desire to connect authentically with his audience. In doing so, Carrey reshapes the narrative surrounding his career, revealing a man who is as much a philosopher and thinker as he is a comedic legend. Ultimately, these revelations remind us that Jim Carrey's genius has always been layered. The laughter was never merely for entertainment. It was a way to process life, convey emotion, and engage with the world. By finally speaking openly, he confirms what many fans have suspected for years: that the man behind the comedy is profoundly human, deeply reflective, and unafraid to confront the complexities of existence. At 61, Carrey's truth is no longer hidden, and it resonates because it is both authentic and inspiring. Jim Carrey's career has always been a masterclass in transformation. From his manic antics in Ace Ventura to the nuanced emotional depth in The Truman Show, he has consistently defied expectations, blending humor with profound insight. Yet, beyond the roles and accolades, Carrey has spent decades exploring something far deeper: the human condition, personal identity, and the tension between public persona and private self. At 61, his recent revelations illuminate a side of Carrey that few fully understood: a thinker and philosopher. Disguised as a comic genius, Carrey's comedic brilliance has always been intertwined with intelligence and introspection. His improvisational skills, expressive body language, and uncanny timing suggest a mind constantly analyzing human behavior, social norms, and emotional subtleties. What audiences often overlooked is that comedy was also a lens through which Carrey processed his own experiences. Laughter became both a shield and a mirror, a way to protect himself from vulnerability, while simultaneously reflecting universal truths about life, struggle, and absurdity. In recent years, Carrey has increasingly used his platform to articulate these reflections. Public speeches, interviews, and even his social media posts reveal a man contemplating existence, consciousness, and the nature of reality. For decades, fans may have sensed that there was more beneath the surface: the philosophical undertones in his roles, the subtle melancholy hidden behind the smiles, and the thoughtful pauses that contrasted his comedic explosions. Now, he confirms what many suspected: that his humor has always coexisted with profound contemplation. This intersection of comedy and consciousness also explains the evolution of his creative choices. Films like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind showcased his ability to blend humor with vulnerability, exploring grief, memory, and human connection. Roles like these allowed Carrey to express a side of himself that could not be communicated through slapstick alone. Each performance became a vehicle for introspection, revealing a multidimensional personality that audiences had long admired, but only now are beginning to fully understand. Carrey's engagement with art provides another window into his inner world. Painting, sculpture, and visual expression have allowed him to confront emotions, mortality, and philosophical questions in a way that complements his work in film. Unlike his comedic roles, which are often public and performative, his art is intimate, private, and deeply personal. Together, they reveal a man who seeks to understand himself and the world, a man whose genius is not confined to laughter, but extends to reflection, creativity, and authenticity. At 61, Carrey's willingness to reveal these truths marks a turning point. He no longer relies solely on comedy as a mask or shield. He embraces both his humor and his humanity. By speaking openly about vulnerability, grief, and existential curiosity, he validates what fans have long sensed: that the man who makes them laugh also contemplates deeply, experiences profoundly, and seeks meaning relentlessly. His revelations are not cries for sympathy but affirmations of authenticity, offering a rare glimpse into the psyche of a performer who has entertained millions while quietly exploring the depths of his own consciousness. Ultimately, underscores a profound truth about Jim Carrey: his humor has always been inseparable from his intellect and emotional depth. The laughter he generates is not superficial. It is a reflection of a mind and heart attuned to both joy and suffering. By integrating comedy with consciousness, Carrey demonstrates that genius is often layered, and that the people we admire most for one talent may harbor equally impressive qualities hidden beneath the surface. As we move into the final chapter, we will explore how these personal revelations shape Carrey's legacy, influence his audience, and redefine what it means to be a comedic icon at 61. At 61, Jim Carrey stands at a pivotal moment in his life and career. The laughter that defined him for decades now coexists with profound personal revelations, creating a legacy that is richer, more nuanced, and deeply human. Carrey's recent openness about his struggles, reflections, and philosophical insights confirms what many fans had long suspected, that the man behind the humor is thoughtful, vulnerable, and in constant pursuit of meaning. This chapter examines how these truths redefine both his personal narrative and his influence on audiences worldwide. Carrey's legacy has always been tied to performance, but his recent revelations demonstrate that it extends far beyond comedy. For years, the public saw a performer who could contort his face, execute impossible physical gags, and embody larger-than-life characters. Yet beneath the slapstick and absurdity was a mind exploring identity, consciousness, and the human experience. His willingness to embrace these complex ideas publicly now elevates his impact, transforming him from merely a comedic icon to a figure of intellectual and emotional significance. One of the most striking aspects of Carrey's openness is his acknowledgement of vulnerability. For decades, fans suspected that his humor was both a gift and a shield, a way to connect with others while protecting his own inner life. Carrey's candid discussions about mental health, personal loss, and existential reflection confirm that his genius was intertwined with struggle. By confronting these truths, he not only validates the experiences of countless individuals who have faced similar challenges but also demonstrates the courage it takes to embrace authenticity. Even under the scrutiny of fame, this authenticity also influences his creative choices. Recent projects, interviews, and artistic endeavors reveal a man intentionally bridging the gap between comedy and depth. Films like The Truman Show and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind were early signs of this duality, blending humor with philosophical exploration. Now, as Carrey reflects more openly on his experiences, it becomes clear that his entire career has been shaped by a search for meaning, a journey to understand life, mortality, and the human condition through both laughter and art. Carrey's impact extends beyond his films and stand-up performances. His candid reflections on life at 61 inspire fans to consider their own journeys, encouraging introspection, mindfulness, and emotional honesty. By revealing the personal truths that many suspected but few had confirmed, Carrey fosters a connection with his audience that transcends entertainment. He shows that vulnerability is not weakness, that humor and depth can coexist, and that it is possible to be both joyful and reflective in the face of life's uncertainties. Moreover, Carrey's willingness to embrace transformation at this stage in life highlights the ongoing evolution of identity. While many might assume that public figures settle into a fixed persona over decades, Carrey demonstrates that personal growth and self-discovery are lifelong processes. At 61, he continues to explore, challenge, and redefine himself, proving that authenticity and curiosity need not diminish with age or fame. Ultimately, Jim Carrey's revelations at 61 confirm what fans have long suspected, that the man behind the laughter is thoughtful, introspective, and profoundly human. His legacy is no longer confined to comedic brilliance. It encompasses resilience, wisdom, and the courage to confront life's complexities honestly. For audiences worldwide, Carrey offers a rare example of a public figure who has balanced humor, artistry, and authenticity, reminding us that even those who bring the most joy often carry hidden depths. By embracing both his genius and his vulnerability, Carrey redefines what it means to be a cultural icon. The laughter remains, but it is now accompanied by insight, reflection, and a legacy of truth. At 61, Jim Carrey is not only a comedic legend, he is a testament to the transformative power of honesty, creativity, and the human spirit.